So you are afraid of something else. We all go a little mad sometimes. You don't know what death is.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Welcome to the madness.
We are the Mouths of Madness, your new favorite podcast for horror movie reviews. We're coming to you live tonight from the Mouths of Madness Valentine's Dance here at the Dungeon of Doom. This is our episode 6 on the 1981 My Bloody Valentine. My name is Kevin, and I was just handed a Valentine by Miss Mabel from one of our listeners. Oh, let me see. This is from GF Hilla. I enjoy the sound of your voice. Ooh, well, thank you, GF.
Wow.
I appreciate that. Let me go around the dance and introduce you to the other members of Madness. First, we have Dan. Dan, how are you enjoying the dance?
Dude, I am so stressed out right now. Mrs. Mac keeps giving me the bedroom eyes from across the dance floor.
Oh, no.
I can't get away from her. I think she's had too much sherry. Logan, I'm going to need an adult. Please protect me.
Oh, my goodness.
She's too much for me, man. I can't handle her.
Oh, man. Did I see Miss Mabel hand you a Valentine from one of our listeners?
Dude, it just doesn't stop, bro. I got this card from a Thomas in Texas. It reads, Dan, your face makes my chainsaw go. From your friends Thomas, Drayton, Nubbins, and Grandpa.
Wow, dang.
Wow.
That's
Got
a
a whole
Valentine.
family card, man.
Wow.
Usually get those during Christmas.
Oh, man. Next, we have the mayor of Valentine Town. It's Bear Claw.
Oh yeah, I can feel the love in the air. Although you guys all got these really great Valentines, and you know you've got people lined up to be your Valentines. I gotta be honest with you, I'm really jealous over here. All I got was some strange guy in a gimp suit came up and handed me this wooden box, and then told me to open it, Daddy, under his breath, and I can't figure this thing out.
Oh my
And I can't open it. It's very frustrating. Let's move on past me, because I this box is really giving me a hard time.
I hear the frustration in your voice. You're trying to pop that box open, huh?
I just can't get it open.
That's what she said.
And finally, we have the youngest member of Madness, Logan. Logan, how are you liking the dance? Are you getting jiggy with it? As the kids say.
Oh, God, that made me hurt. Now I want to walk out of this dance, man.
Did I see?
Where's Harry Warden? when
Oh
you need
my
him?
goodness. Did I see Miss Mabel hand you a couple Valentines from our listeners?
Unfortunately, yes. I've gotten 2 cards from 2 very special people, let's just say. No Canadians in my,
Wait, you got Valentines too? I'm the only one who didn't get any Valentines.
Sorry, Bear Claw.
That's okay. You can take these if you want. I got one from Billy that says, I've got my eye on you. I don't know if that's a threat or a...
Sounds like a promise.
Yeah.
Sounds like a promise, Logan.
And then I got another card from Billy, but this one is from Halloween 5, and it says, run me over with your love.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
Jesus.
I
That
love
was- I like it.
Oh, you know what? Miss Mabel just handed me one more Valentine. This is to the Mouths of Madness, so all of us. Bear Claw, you finally got one here.
Oh,
Hey.
nice.
And it's from a Harry W. And all it says is TikTok. Well, we better move on with the.
I wonder if he's going to be late to the
episode.
party. Maybe that's what that's about.
Yeah,
So-
probably. You're
so
right.
It's really starting to spin up now.
Maybe it's a clue. Like maybe he's gonna get you a Valentine's gift, like a clock.
Clock?
Ooh, maybe.
Or an hourglass.
Well, I know that there are a lot of other great horror movie podcasts out there, but what separates our podcast from the other ones is that we're going to be bringing you the older versus younger generation perspective. Myself, Dan, and Bear Claw were all born in the 1980s, while my son Logan, he was born in the early 2000s. So this is the clash of the generations. Now, before we get into the episode, I want to plug some of our stuff and where to find us. First, we have an Instagram page, which is like our main page of our social media. And that is at mouse.of.madness. Also, we have a great YouTube channel where we actually just released a special show that's going to be in a YouTube exclusive show called Straight Jacket Talk. So if you want to check that out, it's at Mouths of Madness. And finally, we have our email address. Please email your Valentines to Bear Claw because he's going to be looking for them at the padded room at outlook.com.
Yeah, guys, send me your Valentines because all I've got is this stupid box and it's really bumming me out.
Here, take my Valentines.
Well, we're going to change things up a bit tonight on our podcast, and we're going to introduce a new segment that we're going to call Content Consumed. We're going to go around to each of us, and we're going to talk about the things that we've been consuming, you know, watching, listening, reading, gaming. I'm going to go first with this. I just watched a great movie called Birdemic. Now, this is considered, like, I guess, one of the worst movies of all time, but we saw it through the Riff Tracks guys who are like the mystery science theater guys, and they kind of comment and make it funny. It was very enjoyable to listen to them kind of give, you know, the comedy over it, because if you just watch the movie straight out, I mean, it would be like one of the worst movies you've ever seen. So definitely made it interesting to say the least. On YouTube, I've been watching my favorite horror channel there, which is the Slaughtered Lamb Horror Movie Podcast. I love those guys, Darren and Frank. I think they have some of the best content out there. So definitely, after you go check out our channel on YouTube, go head over to theirs because they're really good. Listening wise, really, I've been listening to a couple horror podcasts. The It Slays podcast, they're pretty good. The Spook House, my boy Phil over there, he has like one of the best horror podcasts. This new one that we're friends with on Instagram called Howitz's House of Horror. Really good stuff. And finally, our friends over at Did You Get That on Film? They have one of the, you know, coolest horror movie podcasts out there. And as far as anything else, I just started reading Storyteller by Dave Grohl. So I'm only a few pages in, but it's good so far. All right, Dan, what do you have for content consumed?
I don't have really much that I'm excited about currently watching right now. I did recently dip back into Fallout New Vegas.
Great video game.
In anticipation for the show that's coming out on Amazon Prime that Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy are attached to. I love their work, especially Westworld. Westworld was like one of my favorite shows. So I feel like this is like a spirit reincarnation of that show.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's essentially, that's what Westworld was. It was like, what if a like game like Fallout was like a theme park and that theme park went wrong? So it's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I love Ink Master. I was very happy that there was a new season of that came out this past year. I finally got to watch the season finale a couple of weeks ago. I do kind of miss Dave Navarro and the old gang there.
Yeah, I
They're
remember
not
that.
it's not as good.
Yeah.
I mean, the art is amazing.
Right.
What these tattoo artists can do is incredible, but it just doesn't have the same sizzle as it used to. But I enjoy it still very much the same. And then a cool show that I really got into that's on, I believe it's on Paramount, is called Evil. And it's basically kind of like, it plays on like the whole Christianity and science debate where it's like the Vatican has this guy who investigates demon possession. So he has his own little team and he ends up meeting this forensic psychologist who works for an attorney office. He recruits her. They go to these different places where there's miracles or supernatural events.
Yep.
And she kind of like is the foil to his religious explanation. And then they go back and forth and they decide like, is it science-based or can we resolve this scientifically or can we resolve this through like exorcism?
Oh,
Pretty
okay.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much, that's me. That's what I'm going to go with
awesome.
for now.
Awesome. Bear Claw, what do you have?
So I have a recommendation for all of our listeners out there, straight from the asylum here. It's The Fall of the House of Usher on Netflix.
Yeah.
A Mike Flanagan, classic Mike Flanagan, absolutely fantastic. If you've even heard of Edgar Allan Poe, you should watch this show. Each episode is named after a different one of his short stories and is on theme with one of his short stories, and the whole show is on theme with one of his short stories, The Fall of the House of Usher. You get to see Mark Hamill playing the attorney attorney Arthur Pym, the insidious attorney Arthur Pym. It's just a fantastic show. Mark Hamill is great in it. Everybody's great in it. It's all the cast from the classic cast from the Mike Flanagan stuff. I just can't. I don't want to spoil any of it, but it is some excellent horror. So I would recommend it to anybody that listens to this fine podcast, because you're obviously of discerning taste. So
you know what, Bear Claw? I've only heard good things about that.
Yeah, I just finished it. I finished it on Edgar Allan Poe's birthday, but you know, I would highly recommend that. That's what I'm watching. What about you, Logan?
Well, you know, I'm not like, oh, you guys with my content, even though I am the youngest. You know, usually like the youngest would be like the most like in tune with what's going on in the world. Not like me. I've been focusing on much more football side of the world. So like movies and TV shows haven't been my thing. But like one thing that I have been watching recently, obviously, is the new Reacher show on Amazon Prime. Always been a big fan of the books as well as the show. There was a movie that they made that was pretty underrated in my
Did that have Tom Cruise in it?
Yes, it did.
Okay, I remember that.
Yes, it did. But this new one with Aiden, I forget his name, but he's really good. And I think it's a very good show because it's not like high-level action, but it's also like pretty good low-level kind of action, kind of Tom Cruise level. Like if Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible had a show, that's what it would be.
Yeah.
And then for movies, I did just rewatch Talk to Me that came out 2 years ago.
Nice.
Really good movie. If you like some of the movies that we've previously watched, like The Exorcist, you might enjoy this movie, and as well as a couple other movies that we might be reviewing. It could be very similar to that, but I would go watch that because it's very well done. Very good movie. Very horrifying movie.
Were you scared?
A little bit, yeah. There was some intense scenes, nothing like crazy, but there was some intensity, you know?
Wow. So you definitely recommend our
Oh yeah,
audience
100%. I'd recommend it. You know,
Nice.
It's a good movie.
Awesome. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Awesome. Well, without any further ado, grab a beer, pull up a chair, hold on to your straitjacket tight, and let's dive into the madness. We watched My Bloody Valentine, 1981. It was directed by George McCullough and written by John Beard. Now, this is another Canadian movie, which Logan loves.
No, I do.
Hey.
They can't escape me.
You'll regret this day, friend!
This was
can
actually
escape them.
shot on location in actual mines called Sydney Mines in Nova Scotia, which is pretty cool. The movie had a $2.3 million budget. Do you guys know what it grossed at the box office?
Oh, jeez.
I'm gonna go 20 million.
I'm gonna go a little higher than that. I'm gonna go maybe 30 million.
I'm gonna go 4.
4 million? Well, Dan's the closest. It grossed $5.6 million.
Really?
I thought this did okay in the
Well, if you think about it, right?
box office.
Yeah, if you think about it, it had a budget of 2.3, so they really doubled their money, I guess, right?
It is a success.
It's more of a cult classic kind of movie in my mind, but I guess like it's 1981, so like
Right, money was worth more.
I'll be honest with you guys. When we talk about like cult classics, and like I understand this movie is one, but in my time in the horror adjacent community, I never heard of this. I'd never heard of My Bloody Valentine before. I'd never seen the pickaxe. I'd never seen like I've seen, you know, Candyman, all of those other characters, but I have never until I watched the movie this time. This is the first that I've heard of My Bloody Valentine.
went under your radar.
Yeah, completely.
Well, yeah, that's pretty cool because I think a lot of the horror audience and community really hasn't seen this one. It's not talked about as much out there. Now, currently on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 58% critic score and a 52% audience score. Now, without too much spoiling, I don't agree with that. I'm going to say that. You know what? In fact, let me start this review off, all right?
All right.
I think, to Bear Claw's point, I think this is one of the more underrated horror movies that's out there. A lot of the other slashers of the time, like Friday the 13th, you know, there's so many. And I think it maybe got tossed in there with those other ones. But now that we've actually just reviewed Black Christmas 1974 a few reviews ago, I'm looking at this movie with kind of different lens now because I had seen this movie back in the day and a lot, and it was in my rotation of movies for a while. But now, after seeing Black Christmas and now seeing My Bloody Valentine again, I think it has some of that heart and connection of Black Christmas. To me, a lot of Black Christmas, you know, with the character development and things like that, were kind of brought over to My Bloody Valentine. I think what My Bloody Valentine does, though, is they take it and they point it in a like more slasher direction, you know, full on slasher, versus Black Christmas more psychological in there, you know, a lot more story threads going in there. But I think this, they do weave some kind of personal storylines together and kind of a whodunit storyline together as well. So to me, again, I think this is one of the more underrated movies. Yes, one of the more underrated slashers, but even one of the more underrated horror movies. Now, what do you guys think? Open discussion question. I mean, what are your overall impressions of this movie or thoughts on My Bloody Valentine?
I was actually going to say that, like, I felt the same way in the parallels from Black Christmas to My Bloody Valentine. It was almost like My Bloody Valentine was like Black Christmas for boys.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah, like, because like it was just like I liked the gang of miners. They seemed like they were like well connected.
That was like my favorite part is like the gang,
the community,
like
that sense of togetherness, like of that group of friends, like. And they all work together, and like I don't know, there's like that camaraderie. That's the word I was looking
really
for.
saw Snow White way too many times, and they're like, "Hey, let's become the Seven Dwarfs." They are kind of the Seven Dwarfs if you think about it.
You know what?
Is My Bloody Valentine an allegory for Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs? Write to us at thepaddedroom@outlook.com.
You know what? To that point, though, right? Like it all feels like a very tight-knit community because they're all working together in the mines. They go hang out in the bar, right?
They hang out together.
Bar.
They work together.
Right.
They seem to
sing
intermingle.
together.
They shower together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that scene. Yeah, they're a little.
Not a lot of people up by Nova Scotia, so
You know what though? It does feel like the atmosphere, and what we've talked about in the Black Christmas movie review is it's a very condensed atmosphere. Like everything is.
That's good though. You want that in a horror movie because it's like, I love in a horror movie when the characters feel trapped.
Yeah.
When you are basically unable to get out of your environment, because that is a horror movie basically. You don't have, because like, you know, you could leave the house anytime, but that's not a horror movie, you know, that's not realistic. In a horror movie, you have people that are trapped in like some kind of like place that they can get out of very easily, but they have a hard time doing so because they're so idiotic. Like there are multiple times in this movie where people could escape like in a second, but they didn't because, you know, they're gullible, even though, you know, of all the stuff that happened. But in other movies, that's the same thing as, you know, in Black Christmas, they were trapped in that house. There weren't a lot of scenes besides in the house. All the characters are basically trapped. To have a smaller town is like, it's good. It's good atmosphere.
To your point, Logan, this feels like they're trapped in their town and not even like with a killer situation. They're just trapped in their environment, you know?
Yeah. And TJ there, he tried to get out, but then he
back.
He went west and then he came right back. And then that whole love triangle started between him and Sarah and Axel.
No state cops either.
See, I don't know. I think I'm going to have maybe an unpopular view of this movie.
No.
I did not enjoy this movie as much. I don't think it was necessarily a bad movie. I saw it. Well, first off, I think it's very, very important we talk that there's two versions of this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And I saw the version without the gore, which is probably the worst introduction, which was the theatrical release.
Yes.
Then I saw all the scenes with the gore, and that made it a little bit better for me. But you know, with this movie, there was just a lot of I would kind of agree with the Metacritics and everybody else that it's like 50% in that. Yeah, it tries to do what Black Christmas does, but it doesn't do it quite as well. It tried to do what Halloween did, but it doesn't really do it quite as well. It tried to do what Alien did because 1979. Well, Alien is the way I would compare and contrast this movie is Alien was really cool because it was a bunch of characters in a condensed spaceship, no way out,
right?
A predator coming around, and you could always feel the heat of the breath of that alien. And they only showed the alien for like the last couple bits of the movie. With this, I feel like they kind of wanted to do that, but didn't really. They had this mind that they could utilize. They had all this like cool stuff, and like there wasn't a lot of tension in this movie for me. I don't know whether it just didn't build it right. I don't know. That was like my feeling on it. When it did the point of view shots, I was like, oh, it's just a minor. He's gonna go kill some people.
I thought the buildup was good though, because you know there's a lot of scenes where it was just him hiding a lot, where he would just like wait for the person to come at them, the bartender or Mabel there. Like I think like those kind of kills are like, you know, they're good for building up kind of the movie to make it look more like this is an actual killer that's going around killing people, and like it makes people go, oh shit, there's a killer, he's coming back, and that makes everyone go crazy. But then it also builds up like kind of how the movie's gonna go from there.
Well, but nobody really knew about it until the mine. Like they knew about Harry Warden.
Yeah, they knew about Harry Warden, but I think it seemed to them like just a story that people say.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Remember the bartender, Happy there? Yeah.
Both a hero and a sage, that Happy, let me tell you.
I mean, his speech to me is like, I think some people think it's too much exposition, but I think it's perfect because it really does give this backstory of Harry Warden and what happened and why they should be afraid, but everyone kind of dismisses this story like, oh, it's an urban legend, you know.
Right, nobody's scared. So then you see the miner walking around and nobody knows or cares that he's around. And so there's like, I don't know. I feel like the tension is, you know, some of the tension, if you look at Halloween, for instance, right? Laurie sees Michael Myers.
That's true.
And at first, it is kind of like, whoa, who is that guy? And that kind of like, even that awareness, even putting the character a little bit on their haunches, kind of builds that tension. Nobody really knows about the miner until they hit the mine.
So you're saying that Sarah probably should have like seen the miner before, like
maybe. I mean, she was walking in the dark. She could have seen the miner or something.
I know what you're saying, and I agree with that. Like to build up that, you know, suspense and like there's doom that's, you know, out there,
lurking doom.
Yes, but to the counterpoint your argument, then if that happens, then they wouldn't go on with the dance or with the party and
go down into the mine
or go down
into the methane-filled mine.
What a blast! In the mine, that's exactly what it would be.
Which they, like none of their stuff that they do is really logically consistent.
It's so funny. I love how Hollis is like, oh, I don't think we should go down there, and then all of a sudden he's just like, oh, okay, let's go in the mines. Let me go scare the shit out of you.
He had like slammed 3 more drinks, and he was like, let's do it.
He was ready, man. But to Bear Claw's point, real quick, I just want to talk about the gore because he is right. The movie that was shot and the movie that should have been My Bloody Valentine was really butchered by the MPAA. This movie, according to the director, went in for a rating a month after John Lennon was shot. And along with that and the Friday the 13th backlash that had just come out the previous year, the MPAA was going to give this movie an X rating.
I still maintain that the MPAA's demands were way over any other film that's ever been shown to them. John Lennon got shot the year before. There was a major backlash against gratuitous violence, which always happens.
And they made him chop, I think it was like 9 minutes or something like that of
like the best 9 minutes of the movie.
I mean, and to me, you know, because if you look at the practical effects in this movie, right? I know Friday the 13th had some great ones, but you know, this was way ahead of its time.
They were better.
When that guy got in the mine shaft, when the guy was hung and he's like head detached, and like that was.
I mean, the practical effects.
The water.
Oh, yeah, where the girl is
Getting boiled.
Not
No,
that
not
one.
the boil
other one.
scene.
Where she was put up into the shower,
Yeah.
and then the
Oh,
spigot
yeah.
comes out, the water comes out her mouth. Like, who? That's like one of the most creative kills in horror cinema.
And you know what's
think.
cool about that kill, and it is really really excellent. Is earlier in the movie I noticed this. Her boyfriend was holding her like that.
Oh,
When they
yeah,
were-
with his
when they were
hand.
decorating
Little John,
everything.
right? I think is his name.
And
You
big-
love
he was a
Little
big-
John.
He was a big fella.
He picks her up by the
And he
head.
picks her up by the head, and that's exactly what the miner does when he kills her.
Yes.
He picks her up by the head and puts
I
her
didn't
on
even
that.
think about
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Good insight.
I think there's a lot of those in the movie. Like if we watch it back, like in the first like introduction of the teens, we could probably see a ton of little things where it's like, oh, you could tell like where these people are gonna get killed, and it just, well, to be fair, let's be honest, like all these kids are assholes. Like they deserve like
What?
they were
They seem like
total.
they seem like reasonable individuals.
Okay, let's be Howard.
Okay, Howard's kind of an asshole. I
Howard-
agree with that.
Hey, who busted the lock? I got the keys right here.
Howard did.
Howard's
He's
on
a-
this
He's
kind
a
of an
fun
asshole.
asshole.
Yeah, right.
He's a-
Exactly.
but it's still an asshole. Hollis is probably the only good character because he like when the fight was going on between Axel and TJ, he was holding them back and he told like Axel to get out because he was obviously seeing like he was being a jerk to Sarah, and then like he just was getting drunk. He was getting plastered off his mind. But like everyone else was kind of just like, oh, let's go have sex and let's just make fun of her.
They're
like,
being young kids. That's,
I know,
you know,
but like
Young adults. I did like that they were all like minors and all worked together, and like
Yeah.
I did like that it wasn't the normal like high school or college, or it was just a bunch of regular working people.
right. And you know what? I was like with the Black Christmas comparisons too.
Yeah.
We get to really know these people and get to
Yeah.
know their backstory a bit. And I know that the love triangle doesn't work for some with TJ and Axel.
Well, I
and
mean,
Sarah.
they pretty much just beat you over the head with the
Yeah,
love
they do.
triangle.
Are you serious? This is important. You can't have them both, you know. I don't want them both.
They do, but I mean, think about
Got
being.
the subtlety of a freight train.
Here comes the pickaxe at you. But
No
think about being
backstory.
a young man in this small town, with the girl.
No cell phones.
You're
Yeah.
Well,
right.
I just feel like, all these teens do is just go to the bar,
Mhm.
hang out, and like have sex. Like, like there's a big part of this movie
Life
that
is
no
wrong
one
with
really
that?
thinks.
This is before the internet, Logan.
No, I'm just saying, like, there's a big thing that we're forgetting. The mayor is TJ's father.
Oh, some nepotism is that
And
what you're
owns
saying?
the mine.
And where the heck is like they just made that a part of the movie. Like there's no scenes
You
where
think
they
that
are
was, like-
talking.
yeah, you're right. The father and TJ don't have a real relationship on screen, but I almost wonder if that's done on purpose.
Yeah.
And the cop really doesn't have a relationship with any of them either. Like he just like found Sarah walking alone and he's like, "Are you okay out there? It's cold."
All
like,
the adults kind of feel detached from the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think they're supposed to be in theory because they're the only ones that actually know
Or remember.
or
the
remember. Yeah, right. And Harry Warden to them is out there. Like
Yeah.
Harry Warden is real and he's there, and they're the ones that are like looking for him and trying to cover
Yep.
up
Well,
what's going
Happy
on.
pulled him from the mine, right? Happy was the guy who pulled him from the mine.
Was he?
Yep. Happy was the
Oh.
guy who pulled Harry Warden from the mine. Because
When he was
Harry Warden
eating people?
exists in canon.
Yes.
And Happy was one of the miners who went down and pulled him from the mine and saw him eating the arm and stuff. That's why Happy's like very, very into it.
I love that visual so much.
He's like, well, I mean, you're stuck
was
down there.
great
in the
on that
mine. I
arm.
mean, it's crazy.
I saw that.
Oh,
Harry, we've
harm.
only been down here for 2 days.
That's what I thought originally. And then
We've only
like
been
I went
down here
back
for a
and
couple
watched it and they were
hours.
like, "Oh, he was down there for 6 weeks." I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes
Yeah, that
sense."
makes sense.
Would
He's
you
down there
eat
for
a
like 2 or 3
human
hours
arm?
and then went to cannibalism. There's some.
Oh my god.
You wanted to go to cannibalism.
You wanted
was a-
this.
This
was
is
a-
like
this was
right
a
after
choice.
lunch. Like we're not even hitting dinner time yet, and you've already resulted.
It's
to
been a
cannibalism.
day, Harry. I was hungry, man.
Dang, I can't believe that. Like in theory, right? You get trapped down there. Did they say how many miners were down there, like trapped? It was
5.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Or
5.
5 or 6. Yeah, it was some, because there was the 2 managers that were watching the methane levels, are supposed to be.
Yeah.
Then they boogied, and then the mine exploded, and 5 of them were down there. 5 or 6, I don't know.
So he must not ate everybody, right?
6
6 weeks. I mean, how many pounds of human flesh do you think you go through in like a day? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, if you got if they're like Hollis, I mean, that's a solid 6 months.
I mean, that's a meal. That's a hungry man meal. So
that's like Oregon Trail buffalo.
Let's get out the whiteboard.
That's some Donner dinner party.
You know what? And back to kind of the intro point too. What's really cool about this movie, it was shot in actual mines. You know,
yeah.
So it's all lived in atmosphere again, and that's why it feels scary to me in that sense.
And I heard that these mines were decommissioned, but I heard that for this movie, and I don't know if this is substantiated or not because I read this on one of the not as reliable websites, but that the town had actually, they knew that they were coming to shoot the movie, and they had painted the mines and made them look like pristine, and like that was not what they wanted to have.
They actually painted the town and the mine and spent $50,000 to do it, right?
Yep.
And then when the director came in to shoot, they were like, "Wait a minute, what the heck?" So they had to spend $75,000 of the movie's budget to put it back,
re-grimify the town.
God, that sucks.
People in those property values must have been so mad.
Oh, now it's a presentable town, and then they come back and they're like, "What the fuck happened?"
Can you imagine that? That would be crazy.
We reverse gentrified you.
They were saying too that I guess because these were real mines that they could only use certain lighting down in the mines.
Yeah, because they're full of methane.
Yeah, because the precaution of methane explosion.
There's very little anybody could say to me to get me to go underground.
Can we talk about, though, real
$10 billion.
quick, how long can you survive realistically in a mine that's just filled with methane, like breathing in methane? You can't survive.
If there's no oxygen,
weeks?
not very long.
Yeah, 6 weeks like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if it's full. Yeah, I don't know. There must have been some type of air vent or something.
Yeah, that's.
I don't know a lot about mining accidents. Like I said, I try and avoid mines.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I try to avoid mimes.
Mimes and mines.
Yeah.
Mimes in mines.
Ooh.
That's
a tongue twister right there.
But whenever I do like to go to a mine, I always like to bring the woman of my heart down and really make sure that we're using our proper PPE. We're putting on our gas masks and everything, and and we go down for a romantic rendezvous, and preferably a methane filled kind of real danger zone.
Just really quick. Really quick. The mask isn't actual for protection or breathing in oxygen. It's for aesthetic.
Purely aesthetic. That's correct, Dan.
Aesthetically pleasing.
It does it for some, like that girl at the beginning.
Yeah.
She was all over that mask and the tube.
What is that? Here's my question, though. What does before that scene look like? What's that? I want to see that.
Come with
I
me
want
to
see
the mines.
the first 20 minutes of how he... like where does this woman come from? Why has she decided to go dressed up in mining gear?
You know what, Bear Claw? Maybe that's part of the footage that's lost forever on this movie.
Let's find it.
I mean,
that's some direct-to-home DVD type crap.
You're right. They could put that in like the special features.
I was thinking more of a adult film movie.
Oh, okay. Well, the My Bloody Valentine you haven't seen.
Yeah, like I am good.
What did you guys think about like the whodunit aspect of this movie? The killer. Did you
Scooby-Doo type?
Did you predict the killer straight
it was
away?
Going to be TJ or Axel, and I could have told you that from about 5 minutes into the movie. Like one of these two is going to be the killer. It's either going to be a fake out and Axel, which is what it was, or it's going to be like a double fake out and actually be TJ and like he lost his mind on the West Coast or something.
Yeah.
Right. So when I started watching the movie, my thought immediately went to that TJ or Axel, but then I was like, well, what if it's both of them? But then there was a scene, it was the bar scene where TJ actually pitches the idea to go down in the mine.
Yeah.
And they do a quick cut to Axel, and he's got this like Cheshire cat Cat ate the canary kind of look on his face, like his eyes just kind of like light up for a minute, like, oh fuck, like this is gonna be like shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah,
let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, I want to gut the shit out of you in the mine. It's gonna be great.
That is gonna cut down on my travel time.
Oh man.
Let's go party at our place of work. That sounds great.
You know what? I was telling Logan while we were watching it, that rec room was pretty sick, though. You know, like, you know, why wouldn't you hang out there? But then Logan was like, "You want to hang out at work?"
Why would you want to work? Why would you want to hang out at the place that you work all day in a crappy mine, like in a rec room? That rec room wasn't great. It didn't look.
And pool tables.
Come on, Alice. We got everything we need down there. We got let's see, we got a rec room, we got a pool table, everything.
They had a full-on kitchen.
Every place in that movie had a pool table. The bar had a pool table. The police station had a pool room.
Again, they don't have internet. Not much
the 80s. Why does everyone have a pool table? There's other games besides pool. It's just like a stereotype now. Hey, if you're in a horror movie, you got to play pool.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. What about you, Logan? Were you able to pick out the killer? Yeah, from the beginning?
I knew, like Bear Call, I knew it was either Axel or TJ. I think, you know, I was realizing it pretty early on. This reminded me of a movie we just seen recently, Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because this is the same angle as that, where it was the girl was with two guys, where she was dating TJ. She was dating one of them. They left all of a sudden, and then she dates a new guy. Yeah. Same concept with the same movie. And then it turns out, you know, Thanksgiving obviously had a different approach to it. But like at first I was like, okay, this kind of gives me like the same vibes as that. At first I was like, are they just going to do what they did in Thanksgiving, where they're just going to have both of them just not be the killer? And then we're actually going to have Harry Warden. And I'm like, no, Axel's been gone way too long. TJ's been gone way too long. It's one of them. So it was just it was like a Scooby-Doo episode. You know, you got to find the red herring somewhere.
It was cool, though. Like I said, watching it with you, and you're like, okay, it's Axel. But then at the end, you were almost convinced that it was TJ.
Well, because he came out of the corner. He's like, oh, yeah, look, Sarah, we got to go. And she was like, why do you have blood on your head? And he's like, oh, yeah, I hit it somewhere. Let's go. Like, it was just like, it was very like, oh, yeah, I got that like somewhere. Like, it was just, yeah, I don't know. It was a little too like, you know.
I'll be honest.
Convenient.
I thought this whodunit was going to go the other way, where Harry Warden really was the killer. He was back.
That would have been better.
And I thought that TJ and Axel were going to have to come together and squash their beef.
You're okay, dude.
Yeah, and like one of them's going to die. Probably theoretically Axel dies, so then TJ could be with the girl.
To save TJ.
Yeah, right.
That would have been much better.
You know, cool, happy ending. But
instead of he just saw Harry Warden kill his dad and he went crazy.
Well, yeah, that did happen. But to me, like, this is why I think it's underrated too, because you were saying other horror movies have done this for years and years and years, right? But to me, this is one of the first that does it. And one of the first that does it in a way that, you know, is a little bit different. Like you said, is it TJ? Is it Axel? Is it Harry? You know, what's going on here? So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah. I see. I would say, I think that the general consensus seems to be this movie was underrated. My argument would be, I think it's appropriately rated at 50%. I just don't think it's really not that great of a movie. Like it's a serviceable slasher movie once you add in the gore parts. So if you don't add those gore parts back in, and I'll qualify every statement moving forward with me, is going to be the complete movie, including the gore parts. Those make the movie kind of much more interesting. It flows better. That's kind of makes it more like, oh, the focus of this is to be a slasher movie.
Okay.
But I mean, you've got to get by some pretty bad things to get to that really slasher gore enjoyment. You got to get past some truly horrific acting. I mean, a lot of these people may have been reading from a card. Like,
what do you think of Howard?
What? Howard? Which one's Howard?
He was the comedian.
Oh, the comedian guy? Yeah, he was improving. He probably should have been reading from a card, but like they were all like just very like soap opera like level
That's
acting.
what the movie was supposed to be, though. I like it because they are terrible. The only good actor in the movie was probably Axel because of like the ending. I liked it because, you know, they weren't great actors. They were all low-level actors. You don't want somebody that's like the biggest actor of all time to just come in here and totally take over. You want people that are basically on the same level. And Hollis, who is by far the greatest character in cinematic history.
Hollis was like my favorite character.
R.I.P. to Hollis.
And one of the best characters, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Justice for Hollis.
I mean, think about like taking that nail gun to the head like he did and fighting through it. Yeah, fighting through it. You know, he's a boy that I want in my stable of horror movie characters that are going to help me get through a horror movie. You know, what are some of the characters that you guys think that you could use from the movies that we've reviewed here on the Mouths of Madness horror movie podcast that could help us get through a horror movie? We'll call it the Hall of Slain. What do you say? You guys
okay?
Yeah, that's good. But I mean, let's put some rules here. Do they have to? What can they be? Do they have to have died in the movie?
Yeah, I think so. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I think that should be a good qualifier.
Yeah, because
you are the survivor.
Yeah, you're the survivor.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
right.
I'm the final girl. So
yeah,
okay.
right.
Exactly.
It's like
You
my
are
boy
Laurie Strode.
like my boy Hollis. You know, he took the nail gun to the head for me, you know, and helped me. He helped me get out of the mines.
Hollis died so you could get out of the mines.
That's right.
Or in any other scenario, he's like a big beefy boy.
Yeah.
You can
He's
put
competent.
him, and you can put him in
Highly
between
Yeah.
you and the killer, you know, and let the killer just hack away at him.
There's a lot of meat there.
There's a lot of meat to cut
love,
off that back.
I love too where he like grabs Axel and TJ because like he was a pretty calm giant, you know, at first, and then all of a sudden he was like, "Stop it!
Shit! You guys, knock it off! Get out of here!
You
It's
know,
like the Jolly Green Giant turned whole.
where's the bear?"
Let's go heat up some instant dinners on the block of an engine.
Dude, he's running on them dinners and gasoline.
And he's eating it too. He's not letting anything go to waste.
He
He's
was
enjoying
starving.
So what do you guys have for other characters in the movies we've watched? Not just My Bloody Valentine.
All right. Well, I was gonna say I actually do have another one from My Bloody Valentine.
All right. What do you got?
I got my boy Happy.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna
bartender.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw a little RPG element, role playing game effects into this. Strengths for Happy. He's a master mixologist. I feel like you definitely are going to want somebody who's going to know how to feed you alcohol through a stressful situation. I think that's solid.
He was a good bartender.
He knows how to construct decoys. So like you know, he could keep the killer confused for days with his decoys. And then like his special power is anytime he consumes whiskey, it gives him a +3 charisma and +2 strength stat.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Good on you, Happy.
definitely a solid. Anyone else from your stable, Dan?
I mean, there's Burke Dennings.
Oh yeah, good old Burke
Watch
from The
out for those
Exorcist.
alien
Ultimate boy.
He's got eagle eyesight. He can spot an alien pubic hair from 1,000 yards. He's got +20 alchemy. You definitely want a +20 alchemy on your squad, especially if you're going to try to survive in a forest scenario, because you're going to want anybody who's open and willing to eat all sorts of mushrooms for
Does
you.
he have the party boy perk too? So,
Yeah.
so drugs don't affect him like they would a normal person.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcohol does though.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got two in mind. Both of mine are actually Halloween picks. So my first one, I thought about this a great deal for is going to be Karen Nelson, Laurie Strode's daughter from 2018.
Ooh.
Yeah, all of the benefits of Laurie Strode. None of the well, Laurie Strode was killed, but I didn't want to do that one on a technicality. But I feel like Karen Nelson would be, a really great, she might not stop who's ever coming after me, but she's going to slow him down.
That's
Put a pitchfork through them.
And then, she's definitely incredibly
She's a good
tough.
shot, too.
And she's definitely in my stable. And then the second one I got was also from Halloween, and it's the Michael Myers from Halloween 2 is who I want because he killed the canon of Halloween. So
Bear Claw bringing the haymakers
from Halloween 2. So he's gonna be in my Hall of the Slain.
I was looking at you for a second like, wait a minute, do you know the rules here? We just went over them. Bear Claw.
Yeah, he can't be good.
Logan, how about you?
Well, if we're going off those rules, I'll go for Michael Myers who cries.
Oh.
Because that's just the worst. I'll go for Billy from Halloween 5 because he's just god awful.
You know what? He can take that car for you, you know? Let him get run over.
He's got psychic abilities.
And for my last one, I gotta say, I just gotta ask, do you guys like film?
Oh.
Because the last guy is the detective from The Exorcist. That guy knew everything that was going on. He's got great detective skills.
He didn't really die. He could be like our ride or die, you know? He's like the guy that somehow survives.
He's asking a lot of questions, though.
All the great
Maybe that's his strength. You know, he bores the killer to death, and then you escape.
Right? He's just asking if the killer likes film and stuff like that.
You want to like go catch a movie sometime, or like hang out, Michael?
Man, that dude was lonely. He needs to get a friend. He should get Billy. Billy needs a friend, not me.
Well, that's our Hall of Slain for the Mouths of Madness. The characters throughout our movies that help us survive.
Avengers assemble.
Yeah, they're
all
like
through.
They're kind of a shitty Avengers, yes.
And everyone else
assemble.
Assemble.
This is the biggest question I want to ask on this movie for you gentlemen. Why was there no sequel? And I don't want to hear like, oh, well, it didn't make as much money.
Technically, there was a sequel or a remake.
There was a remake.
Yeah, remake.
But in 2009, I believe. But why was there no sequel? To me, this sets up for a franchise.
Can I just...
The killer gets away at the end, right? You have, the minor mask. You could set up a whole...
Be My Bloody Valentine.
You could set up for a whole slew of different killers throughout, like, the series. No. We could get 13 of these. What do you think? Why is there no sequel?
Not a franchise. No, we do not need another franchise to watch.
In the epilogue, they just totally bombed the mine. They just threw dynamite down there and they're like, good luck.
Well, yeah, I mean, like...
Killing all the people that were down there?
No. They got all the people out, but that was how they just tucked a bunch of dynamite.
The entire town.
That'd kind of be a good...
let's write it off. Let's not even deal with it.
That'd be kind of a good setup, though. Like, what if they destroy the mines?
Yeah.
They destroy the mines after that. 20 years goes by. TJ's the mayor now. Sarah's somewhat, like, in the kind of, like, power. And they have, like, there's new kids in town. Like, they have their own kids. They're now, like, run the town. And they find the mines.
Minecraft. Wait, here's the twist.
Where's Jack Black when you need him?
Oh,
Jason Momoa.
No, I mean, like, you know what I was going to say, too, though, is they actually do, like, the mob scene right at the end of this movie.
Yeah,
it's like they come in, like, all at the same time.
Guns blazing.
There's no evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight! Evil dies tonight! Now he's turning us into monsters.
Evil dies tonight!
They needed a quote to say. They needed something. Harry dies tonight.
Yeah, they didn't have any good... I mean, there were some cool poems that he left with the hearts in the chocolate box.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of neat.
You know what I thought was cool is when you see the killer, especially the point of view, and even not, he would turn the hearts upside down all the time.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool little,
Yeah,
thing
they definitely made a big deal out of that, too, because you got the detective, like, thinking about it for a while, and then he opens up all the dryers, and...
I know it's kind of just a lame thing in a way, but I thought it was cool too, just the heart box with the heart in
I
it.
did like that.
That was cool.
I thought that being like kind of a signature move, and the like writing the little poem, and then the part when the mayor and they're standing over Mabel's corpse there, and the chief just decides to open it for some reason and let the mayor see, and then they dig around in her rib cage a little bit and tear out a heart.
Why didn't they call in like the cops, like the rest of
He had too much pride in himself.
Yeah, it's like small
Everything's
town
fine
police
here.
force like thing, like you said, too much pride. Call in the FBI. There's a horrible death.
I do like...
This is not an accident. A lady doesn't go in a dryer.
Crawl into the dryer,
Right.
looking for that last missing sock. Like
Just looking for Claude.
God damn it, Claude, I'm gonna have you fixed.
Call the mounted police. Get him in there.
Yeah, right. Where's the Mountie?
where are the Mounties?
He
That's
always
what I
gets his
wanna
man.
know. Yeah.
No, I just thought that this movie really set up for a sequel, and there was none. And I don't know, maybe that's part of the charm of it now, looking back on it, is it was kind of a one and done cold classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't think it was It wasn't bad, but I don't know that it was particularly good either. That would be.
I don't know if it made it. I don't think it made enough money to really warrant a sequel either.
Yeah.
As, even though like they made their money back, like they kind of they made their money back and a little bit more. But like, is that enough for like a producer or a film
Maybe a
industry
fan
to be
film.
like, yes, let's do another one?
And there is a fan film called Valentine Bluffs on YouTube, so I want to plug them. Go check it out. I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard really good things about it. With the sequel, though, I was thinking if they could get it removed, like if it can be a little bit maybe later on the 80s, even in the 90s, where you can get away from the MPAA and have those great gore effects and just, I mean, Friday the 13th, right? No matter if people think they're good movies or they're bad movies, they cranked out so many that made so much money, doing less than this movie does, So to me, it seems almost, it just seems like a no-brainer. Like, why wouldn't you do a sequel with this? But I don't know.
And I thought the miner was a good villain. Like,
Yeah.
I thought like it was very strong. Like to have him, when he was going through the mine, smashing the bulbs.
Yes,
that was
that's
really
a great
cool.
scene. Yeah.
And there's so much stuff they could have done with like methane gas or like, and like just like they could have had the miner. Like that mine is such a cool environment to have a horror in with so many limited escapes but kind of workarounds and things.
Right.
I mean, they could have really had some time to build some tension. But I feel like by the time everybody got to the mine, there wasn't any tension left to build. It was kind of the downhill thing. They needed to start killing some people left and right.
Yeah. And I think it was paced right though, because it's like as soon as they got into the mines, it was like, we got to start going here, and I think it was good. A lot of times movies just build up like too long and you're like, oh my God,
too much exposition.
Yeah, right.
And
Oh, this movie was deep with exposition, but at least they did it good. Like, there was a lot of exposition in the beginning, I was going into it like when we were first like starting the movie, I was like, this is going to be a lot of exposition, not a lot of kills. There was a lot of kills in this movie. There was a lot.
Did you guys know that this is Quentin Tarantino's favorite slasher movie of all time?
Yeah, that surprises me a little bit.
He talked about it.
I don't doubt that. Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't like when I think of Quentin Tarantino, he's so technical, and this movie, the cinematography is not great in this movie. I did not find it to be well shot.
Did you find the mine scene too dark?
Yeah, the mine.
I couldn't
scenes
figure
are
out a lot of
okay,
stuff
so
going on.
that goes into they were only allowed to bring certain lighting into the mines and stuff like that. So your complaint on that is a lot of people's complaints.
All right.
Yeah, but there was nothing they could do about it because of the methane gas. They were only allowed to bring certain lighting. And I guess they had to actually, squeeze their crew into the elevator shafts and bring them down. So it would take like hours to
set everything up.
So you're right. But, to these points, why can't we do like a movie now? Like, I know there was the remake, but like.
Do it on a set.
Yeah, do it on sets.
You're telling me there's not a mine set out there? Like.
Snow White in the Seven Doors.
There's tons of mines.
People are crafting mines all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wait, what? People are crafting mines everywhere? Oh.
Went over the head.
We gotta stop with the Minecraft.
All right. I think we're on to our favorite segment, Hook, Line, and Stinker. I'm going to go first here. My hook kind of might surprise you guys, but my hook is the scene of Mabel in the dryer. That's my favorite
I'm not
kill.
surprised at all.
Yeah.
The unedited one, right?
The unedited one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
no,
an
just
important
edited.
distinction. Yeah.
That was really, really brutal. You
Yeah.
know, the gore I thought was great. I kind of liked how before he was like the smell, like you could almost feel it through his facial expressions. What I really love too is actually the cinematography in that scene. It's very kind of grays, and then you have these kind of taupe greens of the dryers and the washers, and then you have like the pale reds of the Valentine's decorations. So I thought that was all really cool in that laundromat. And then of course you have her body and the gore, and the chief finding her like that was just really disturbing. My line is going to be the ending line.
Sarah, be my bloody Valentine.
Thought it was kind of
He kind of
cool.
says it in a weird voice, like, Sarah, be my bloody Valentine.
You know, he had the
His
breakdown
arm cut off. So yeah, I mean, or he sawed it off. Like that was kind of a
he
little.
sawed off his arm to get away.
Wouldn't you?
I wouldn't, but he did.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't lure a bunch of people down to a mine and kill them. So, you know, that's.
Well, if you saw that and when you were
But
like
if you
5 years
did.
old.
But if I did, maybe I would saw my arm off. You know, I don't know.
And my stinker is when they're trying to figure out if Harry Warden is still alive, and they call the lady at the mental hospital.
They could have cut this whole scene. She's like, oh, I just got to look at this up.
She's
now,
like,
if this Harry Warden was committed, as you say, then he's simply no longer here. I have to assume that he's transferred, he's released, or he's on the slab. One of three, take your pick.
I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady, there's a killer out there. Like, we need to know what's going on. Like, the way she said it was just like, oh, she couldn't be bothered, and they were like pissing her off.
I like
or
that
not.
they found it out, but that's good because they found it out later when like TJ was like, "Oh yeah, it's Axel," and they're like, "Well, Harry Warden when he killed his father," and they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Harry Warden died 5 years ago," and I was like, "Whoa!" So Axel like, and then they showed like the whole thing, and that made more sense.
Yeah,
as
you're
he
right.
went.
You're right. But to Bear Claw's point too, they probably could have cut that out. It's just, I don't know. It's again, it's like my stinker like thing. It was like this lady, you know, like no importance there. Like, okay, I'll find out for you right
I'll
away.
check the microfilm.
Yeah, right.
Cool. Awesome. Talk to you later.
All right, Dan, what do you have?
All right. So what I have for Hook is I got my boy Happy.
Yes, that was
excellent.
Yeah.
The unedited version of that was excellent.
So like I like how the town harbinger ended up dying, but not taking his own advice of avoiding the mine, obeying the unwritten rules of the town. He involves himself setting up that minor decoy to scare the kids. He's so proud of his prank. And it's his first time interacting with the town's horrific history in an unserious way. And he gets an axe through the eye socket for it.
Oh,
the
yeah.
eyeball pop out. It's very special.
It's really
you don't,
nice.
You don't see that stuff, like the physical effects like that anymore.
Yeah.
You don't see that. It's all CGI now. I love that. That was so
I
funny. And how he's like,
yeah,
the door,
like
shuts it.
3 times.
Yeah, like he's so proud of that fucking decoy thing.
He's just
Like,
trying to
this'll get
scare
'em.
those kids.
Piss on Harry Warren, will they? Well, I'll give them a scare they'll never forget.
He's a hero and he's a sage, and he was trying to pass on some wisdom to the youth.
And they were just like,
Well, that's why he's a part of our Hall of Slain.
I really thought Happy was gonna be the killer. There was like a part of me.
amazing.
I was really thinking Happy was gonna be the killer because I was like,
I thought that at one point.
I thought
too.
it was gonna be a Scooby Doo reveal where they're like, let's find out who the killer is. Old man Happy. Like you guys are making fun of this. Like
I would have got away with
if
it.
it wasn't for you kids.
and you
Happy
stupid
like secretly
Hollis.
Happy
My
secretly
boy.
bought like the mining rights to like just write the town over, and so he was gonna mine out the minerals or whatever.
I do like too. I don't know in the version you had seen, Dan, but like after he's dragging Happy away, like that's so eerie with like the mines in the background. Oh,
For line, I have, and this is how I cheated to get 2 hooks.
Roses are red, violets are blue. One is dead, and so are you.
Huh.
That is the Valentine's Day card that Mabel reads in the laundromat.
Yep, right before her death.
Yep.
That Mabel, like that killer, hated that lady. He took extra attention to her, throwing her in that dryer for like all night. He had like $30 of quarters.
She was decorating Valentine's Bluff for Valentine's Day, and you know he didn't like Valentine's Day very much, Dan.
No,
and,
He has PTSD with that holiday.
well, let me tell you, that town loved Valentine's Day. The cops, if you looked at the if you
I
looked
don't
at their
know. I
patch,
would.
it had a heart on it. It was
Well,
Valentine's.
it's 'cause it's called
Bluff.
Valentine's Bluff. Yeah.
Which I like how it's called Valentine's Bluff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they couldn't hit you any harder on the nose than any of that stuff.
But
Like, let's hit you with this.
I have no stinker for this one, so I'm going to pass it along to Bear Claw.
All right. Well,
he's filled with stinkers.
So for my favorite hook, I really thought the unedited shower scene was by and far, like, you know, it's always terrible and terrifying, but I mean that's the point of these movies, right? Is to terrify, and the hook was absolutely the shower scene where the woman's head gets pushed into the shower head, and then it comes out of her mouth. I thought that was quite a scene, and also some of the best acting in the movie. And then
you know what? To cut you off too, Bear Claw, I really liked the actor Little John, who when he finds her,
that's like the best acting in the whole movie. He's like, you can tell, like he's just like
in shock.
The actual F is going on, like. And you know, it calls back to the scene when he was lifting her up before, and like, that's like the best acting in the whole movie is when he discovers her, and it's just like the terror, the sadness, the anger. He shows it all, so he really did a good job there. So that's my favorite hook. My favorite line is actually the song at the end of the movie, the Ballad of Harry Warden.
Oh, yeah, yep.
I really like that song. And
the
secret survives in the darkness that looms in the night. And I thought the whole song was kind of cool. I think it was better than this movie deserved, but the song is actually of higher quality than most of the rest of the movie. But yeah, I think that it was... that was like the best part. And then the stinker for me, the stinker was the mayor.
Yeah, like
every scene the mayor was in.
I really like
the mayor is the headline.
Logan likes him.
I like the mayor because he always had like a cigar with him, and he was like, who gives a rat's ass?
You had to have a cigar or a prop to distract from his terrible acting. He just looked kind of like dazed the entire time, like he was looking at a dead woman's corpse, and it was the same as if he was looking at like a laundry machine. He was just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I just get what you're going there. Oh yeah, we're in this office, this coroner's office, and okay, yeah, this is every day for me as mayor of the town. You know, it's not
the mayor's on our Hall of Slain. Just so you know. He's an honorary member.
Oh man! All right, Logan, what do you have?
Well, so for hook, I do have. I was gonna say the shower scene, but then I was like, while we were talking about this, we all forgot about a big one that was really cool. Was the boiling. The water boiling
the hot
when he was drowned in it. That was so cool, and you could hear the burning of the skin.
Yeah,
like that was sick. And I just it came out of nowhere for me. Like it was very like he was just there once and it was put in. And then like the coolest scene is when somebody goes in the fridge, and the head is right there, and they don't even look at it.
You know what's crazy is I thought that was just his head too, but I actually rewatched it. It's his whole body shoved in the bottom. Yeah, if you rewatch it, look again.
Man, that person was blind as a bat,
and they pulled his heart. From the women pulled his heart
from the hot dog water
boiling glizzies.
Oh yeah. Like, what's this?
What's this? That was his heart. Right, glizzies. That's the right term for them, Logan.
Yes. God,
we're trying to lure in those younger viewers and listeners.
You're gonna push them away, like me and Billy, or me and Canadians. So for line, I do have. One scene that was really funny was when Howard was asking out this woman at the party, and he was like hitting on her, like he was saying some weird crap, and she's just like,
suck it in and zip it up, will ya?
No, like she was not even there.
Not into Howard. Poor Howard.
Speaking of which, I loved his death scene too, where he just gets tossed. All the way, or his body gets thrown all the way down the mine shaft.
Okay, you know what? This brings up a cool point. That is the edited version of what happens. In the unedited version, he is hung by the neck, and his head separates from his body.
Yep.
And you see it.
And then does he fall?
Yeah, then he falls.
His body is just
falls, but his head stays above the news.
Wow. Yeah, the unedited version's way better.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. I wish I saw that.
Poor Howard.
Well, suck it in and zip it up, because we got the stinker, the best stinker in this entire movie. The worst entire part of this movie is just the exposition of this movie. Like the talking in the scene where TJ's basically hitting on Sarah, even though she's got a boyfriend, and she's just like, I don't want to go with you.
Yeah,
and
he kidnaps her.
He's like, he's not even talking. He's just like get in there. And then they go to like some island, and then he's like, Sarah, I've missed you. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, this is.
I agree. That
kidnapper.
part felt a little out of,
that's
the
like
rest of
everything else
Yeah.
though was very good.
Yeah.
So like that was probably the only thing I could find that was like a real stinker. Other than that, Hollis dying was unnecessary.
That was
Justice
the
for
true
Hollis.
stinker, right?
He should
All
have
right.
survived.
Well, we're on to our final rating.
They're gonna raise the movie. Well, will they raise the movie? The killer is great, the victim sucks, the survivor is in between. What was that?
Now, for me, this one's not going to come as a surprise either. I'm giving this one a killer. I just think that this is now going to be in my regular rotation. I think, to me, it is a slasher movie, but I think this one goes a little bit above and beyond versus the other ones. I think this one has a heart to it, no pun intended. But,
Is it a heart in a chocolate box?
it's a nice little treat.
That dogs are eating from.
Right. So, I mean, I get everyone's point with this about, kind of just being a midway slasher, and I can understand that. But for me, this one's a killer. I think, the killer himself is awesome. The minor costume's awesome. The kills are awesome. And I do like that they actually try to give these characters some story, and they're not just, fodder to be killed off. Dan, what do you think?
So I am kind of in tune with Bear Claw. I rate this movie a survivor. To everyone's point earlier, I felt like the first half of this movie was the best part of the movie. And I felt like things really kind of lost momentum the minute.
Let's finish this up.
Minute they get into the mine.
Yeah.
The minute they get into the mine, and to your point with the information you provided me on like the difficulties recording in the mine and with the lighting, I kind of now understand why it felt rushed.
Yeah.
But me not knowing that and watching the film itself,
right. I mean, you got to rate it on what you see.
I felt like, without knowing that, I felt like it came across as like they had this really, really great setup, this really, really great concept, and they had these great effects, and everything was coming together, and they were like, how the fuck do we end it?
Yeah.
That's how it came across to me.
Yeah.
And that is why I can't put it above a survivor.
Okay.
I love the movie. I love the kills. I love the character. I love everything about it until we get into the mine. And then I kind of start getting mixed feelings.
I got you.
But that's my take.
That makes sense. All right. How about you, Bear Claw?
So for me, this one is by a hair's breadth, and I'll qualify this as it needs to be the unedited version.
Yeah.
A survivor.
Okay.
But not this is by the skin of its teeth, because this film, I don't think it does anything terribly new or exciting, which would be what would put it into the killer concept. It's not the first. I mean, I get your point of like kind of doing the whodunit and slasher mixing together. This is kind of, I guess, the start of that, but I don't know. I just didn't find it unique enough to say that if you're a horror fan, you should watch this. But if you're a horror fan, do I think you'd enjoy this? Yeah.
And it's kind of fun, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a fun movie.
There's fun aspects to it, and there's some differences that are kind of entertaining. So that's why I'd give it a survivor, but it's not firmly in the survivor.
Okay.
It's kind of like, hanging out on the edge, but that's where I'd put it.
Just by the hair of Hollis's mustache.
Yeah, just by the hair of Hollis's mustache, just hanging on with that pickaxe.
I want to ride it.
All right, Logan, what do you have for this one?
So, like Bear Claw, I think there's obviously like a disconnect with it based on how I felt about it. And as Dan said, the ending wasn't great. I wouldn't say it was like fantastic, but I would still say it's a great movie. Like, it's pretty entertaining. Everything hit very well. I would say Survivor, just because it's almost a victim just because of how bad the ending is. Yeah. But like at the same time, I'm kind of like, I like the ending, but I wanted more. It felt very fast towards the end. When Axel was revealed as the killer, let's wrap it up, let's get to it. Like, it was just like very like fast paced. Yeah, it was very abrupt. Where I was like, okay, that's the ending. But like, it was a cool ending because it It was kind of like the killer got away.
Killer survives.
Yeah, like I don't know. It was a good movie. Very very entertaining movie, I would say. So yeah.
Now that we've given our rating, I want to see what our listeners had to say about My Bloody Valentine. Now, we had some of our listeners write in on our Instagram account. That's at mouths.of.madness. Did you get that on film, writes? It's been years since I've seen it, but I remember liking it. I also remember it being a little unhinged. I have to watch it again. Can't wait for the episode. Well, thank you. Next, we have dark_abyss 24. Harry Warden's at it again. Yeah, he certainly is. We also have Chai Bronco, I believe is their Instagram name. This is one of my favorites of all time. I love everything about this film. Yeah, me and Chai Bronco, we're on the same wavelength.
Well, you know what? If you're on the same page as Kevin and Chai Bronco, I want you to tell us at thepaddedroom@outlook.com. I need you to write in. I need to hear some points and some counterpoints about this movie. I think this movie has a lot of following. I think there's a lot of people who see qualities in it that maybe I don't, and I think those people need to email us and tell us all about that. Because I think I could see the light with this movie, but I'm going to need somebody to guide me there.
Well, you know what, Bear Claw? Let's check our email because we also had people write into us about this movie beforehand.
Awesome.
Let me see. We do have one here, and this is from harry.warden@gmail.com. It says, "You should have canceled the dance." Uh-oh. Well, that's not good. We better get out of here before things get out of control.
He knows about the Valentine's Day dance?
I didn't tell him. Did you?
I told him.
Logan.
Might tweet it out. That's okay.
Oh, damn it. Oh, I finally... Hey, guys, good news. I got the box open.
Oh, no. Run!
Well,
Billy, no! Don't go in there.
Oh, man, we better get out of here. Well, we'll be back again soon with another episode. And this one is going to be Bear Claw's pick. And it's going to be Reanimator. So look for that soon. Now back to the padded room with you. Thanks for listening. Happy Valentine's Day.